Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a fantastic day, and without further ado, let's jump right into it. It says, yet again, Ripple, the company, is going to demonstrate opportunities of tokenization for central bank digital currencies, on-chain synthetics in real estate, and decentralized lending and borrowing protocols. We have heard a lot from the company Ripple as of late, not only the massive portion of the US SEC versus Ripple real estate lawsuit, whatever the heck is going on that they're currently discussing, but also the fact that Ripple has openly in the last 1 or 2 weeks announced that they are going to be helping a number of world governments in creating their central bank digital currency in some form or fashion. The idea being that this would be on top of the XRP blockchain, as it is kind of the main thing that Ripple is doing. And then also, we're getting tons of news that they're looking to branch out. They're trying to do other things simultaneously and no longer just be a payments company, i.e. with XRP, but they're also trying to make sure that the XRP ledger is also used in a multitude of other fashions. According to the official announcement shared by Emi Yoshikawa, head of Web3 and crypto at Ripple, the company has entered into a long-term technical collaboration with Fubon Bank, a Taiwan-based fintech major. Here's a tweet for it right here. It says, Ripple and Fubon Bank to showcase real estate asset tokenization use case as part of the Hong Kong Monetary Authority's inaugural e-Hong Kong dollar pilot program. For those of you who missed that, part of the news is that Ripple is going to be working with the Central Bank of Hong Kong to create with them their central bank digital currency. This comes at the same exact time as we have heard from Hong Kong that they are going to, I believe it's the beginning of June, they're going to legalize crypto, make proper frameworks for crypto, and essentially give allowance to normal people to be able to buy, sell, hold, and trade cryptocurrencies, and also give them laws on top of it, which you would think would be self-explanatory, but they're not in that. Recently, Texas had to give a law or create a law or sign it into law that people are legally allowed to, I think it's mine Bitcoin and use Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin is their property. It sounds self-explanatory, as in you would assume that something you bought is yours, but nope, you got to make laws for it, and this is also what Hong Kong is doing. This integration is part of the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, the HKMA, inaugural e-Hong Kong dollar pilot program, an experiment with the development and adoption of the blockchain-based version of the Hong Kong dollar. Namely, the two firms will work together on real estate asset tokenization and equity release with instruments based on the prototype of the digital HKD years ago. This is it's like barely even a whisper now. We were told that one of the main use cases for blockchain and crypto, therefore, would actually be the digitization of real estate. And back then you would hear it and you assume that these people are going to be like literally making a 3D digital version of the real estate. No, it has to do with basically, instead of having your, you buy an apartment, you buy a home, your documents are sitting in an office somewhere. They're sitting, they may be on paper, they may also be digitized in some sort of way, but if you kind of make sure that basically each house, apartment, piece of real estate comes as an NFT, you can easily then share and move ownership of it. In that, in the future, which I assumed would be now, but apparently we're working our way to actually getting there. Let's say I have a piece of real estate that is digitized on a blockchain, therefore everyone can see that I own it. Because it is mine and therefore it is an NFT, I'm able to also fractionalize it. So if I am getting $3,000-$4,000 a month from the property that I own, and I'm like, I kind of want to buy some other stuff, I can fractionalize that NFT into 10 different portions. I keep 6 for myself, and the other 4 I end up selling off to one of my listeners, one of you people out there. And then at some point you have a fraction of the real estate that we all own together, and you go, you know what, I also want to fractionalize it. So you break that into 100 pieces, and this is kind of the idea of what tokenization can do in the future, and also like the idea of instant liquidity. No longer having to wait 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What doesn't usually take? Like usually in some countries it takes around like maximum 3 months to acquire a piece of real estate with all the paperwork and all the lawyer stuff. But the idea of you owning a fragment and being like, I want to sell off pieces of it right now. This happens also with crypto tokenization. It says Ripple is excited about the use cases of the EHKD and the role of the XRP ledger in its progress. They said with real-world asset tokenization predicted to be a multi-trillion-dollar industry by 2030, I do think it's going to take over the world. I think the only people who are paying attention to it lightly right now are people within the cryptocurrency space. It's understandable. If everyone else isn't into our space, if they're not talking about tokenization, if you don't, there are a lot of people who still don't, but it was even more so years ago who didn't understand that you could fractionalize Bitcoin. I remember one of the first things I heard from people, well, it's stupid. Why would I spend so much on one thing, a Bitcoin, when I can't even use it? Like no one's going to be accepting an entire Bitcoin, and then you have to explain to them, no, it's a digital number on a screen. You can fractionalize it into as many different portions as you possibly want down to one Satoshi. And then you kind of have to think in terms of, in a world where everything is digitized and or rests on top of a blockchain, you will be able to, it's kind of the same. You've seen like people issuing NFTs, like, or what was the thing a couple of months ago, maybe a year ago? There was some museum in Russia who was NFT-ifying, I don't know, some of the art that they have, and they were fractionalizing it into like 500 different pieces. So, you know, if you can't afford $50 million, well, you know what, there's smaller fragments you would be able to buy the art with. And this is kind of where the world is expected to go. The same exact thing with owning real estate. If you can't afford real estate all at once, you can buy a tenth of the real estate so that you are still receiving the rental income from it. The rental income would also be in crypto, and therefore a lot of extra liquidity would be taking place. Tokenizing commodities such as real estate is gaining traction within the financial services and government sectors as a core use case. Ripple's innovative use case combining the EHKD, tokenized real estate and lending protocols, will run in a private and secure ledger built with the same technology as the XRP ledger. So they're trying to branch out. We're hearing a lot more from them. I don't know if it's simply a, what do you call it? Them getting more excited about the ending of the lawsuit, as we keep hearing over and over that we are near the finish line. But it's good to see them like flourishing as a company and continuing to realize that they can do stuff in other parts of the world. Like there's no news anywhere of Ripple working with the US government to create their central bank digital currency. But, you know, once again, Ripple is also now working in 20 other countries. So, you know, that's the Ripple asset tokenization. And what was the other thing? Lending protocols and yada, yada, yada. They're doing a lot of stuff. Okay. All right. Let's move on. In what I personally consider a bit cringy, I saw this news. It was very popular news, and it feels sad almost in a way. And okay, American crypto giant Coinbase has upped its lobbying efforts within the United States by launching a nationwide campaign that they're calling Crypto America Moving Forward. The campaign entails a fourfold approach to highlight the importance of cryptocurrency as a technology that will play a key role in modernizing the global financial system. So as it stands right now, at the time of me making this video, and I assume it will only be the same for the coming years, every other place on the planet has cryptocurrency regulations. People know what they can and can't do with them. They know the taxation rules. Apparently, there's also weird, there's no solidified taxation rules for cryptocurrencies within America. I think people are expected to pay a capital gains tax, but that's subject to change because no one has put it into a proper box. And as such, Coinbase and a number of other companies who reside within the United States of America have been trying to get cryptocurrency regulation since roughly around 2013, 2014, and it still has not come to fruition because of the regulators refusing to give actual cryptocurrency regulation. During the same exact time, we've seen a number of cryptocurrency companies and or larger cryptocurrency exchanges close down and or stop their U.S. branch of the crypto exchange that they had going at the time. Coinbase, understandably, has probably been a little bit annoyed in that they have been trying to gain regulatory approval since around 2015, 2016 from the US SEC. And they still do not have it. And earlier this year, they received a Wells notice from the SEC, basically saying that they've been doing something wrong. You have incurred some kind of a fine or a fee because you haven't followed the rules. And now, after having threatened that they were going to leave the United States, which I told you they weren't, it's not even about being brave enough. It's something I think a little bit deeper than that, where these companies are so obsessed with the idea that we are here, we're going to try and have our foothold in the ground, in the sand, in the mud, to make sure that we benefit from all of this the most. It's kind of like, have you ever had a teacher who just didn't like you? I had multiple. Or like someone in school who you knew didn't like you, but you tried to be nice to them in some sort of way, and you assumed at some point that they would turn around and be like, you know what, he's not a bad guy, let me be nice to him. This is the way that I feel like Coinbase, namely Coinbase, is acting towards the SEC, really just trying to give them an apple a day and be like, hey, do you want to go on the swing with me? And they get pushed down, but it keeps happening over and over. And now Coinbase has evolved to this point where I think it was Kraken shut down their US operations. Binance US also isn't doing too hot because of regulations. And Coinbase, continuously getting nothing from the SEC, is now trying to launch a new campaign of ads, basically trying to get the US public behind them to say no, Coinbase should have regulations. It seems relatively tone deaf in that you can always figure out when someone is wealthy or extremely rich when they kind of just use their money as a way to get more money. In that, instead of just simply packing up and showing the US SEC and the US in general, hey, we need cryptocurrency regulations. We can make you guys billions of dollars in taxes per year from our platform, but you're not helping, so therefore we go somewhere else. It's this no, let's just stay here and continue to be treated terribly, but we're going to make sure that we have an ad campaign that will probably cost hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, to try and convince the American public that they should be the ones to go to the SEC and say no, give us cryptocurrency regulations. It's kind of what was that thing that Coinbase did a couple of months ago? There we go. In 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, Coinbase did not care about the public. Me, you, I, us. That is abundantly clear. You can go look at my other videos. They announced back in 2018 that the main thing, the catalyst that they believed would skyrocket the cryptocurrency space were rich people. They were making institutional custody, institutional platforms, institutional so on. This is why you have 9 different forms of Coinbase. Coinbase Regular, Coinbase Pro, Coinbase Mega, Coinbase Ultra. I don't know the other ones, what they're called, but you kind of get the generalized idea. It was that rich people would save us. Rich people were the only reason why crypto existed, and rich people were going to push the cryptocurrency market a lot higher. And after we had proper rules and regulations and custody setup and Fidelity helping them, yada, 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 crypto would go into some new utopic age or something like that. But then when none of that actually happened and rich people were kind of still standing on the sidelines, Coinbase, after having gotten in trouble with the SEC, then announced, this was 2-3 months ago, that now they wanted us, the normies, the normal everyday people, to step forward and stand behind Coinbase and say, SEC, you're wrong. We need you to change the rules. And it's well, you didn't need us for 4 years. You assumed that the hyper billionaires were going to be the saving grace of the cryptocurrency market. Remember when they even were launching, if you don't remember, here we go. Coinbase and a number of other companies were launching products that were only for the wealthy. You had to have X millions, or at least $500,000 in your bank account or in crypto to be able to use their services. And they were like, yeah, we'll open it up to everyone else eventually. That was the problem with the New York Stock Exchange creating Bakkt, BAKKT, where they basically announced that it would only be an institutional platform for the very wealthy. Because back then in 2018, all the crypto exchanges and all the other wealthy people believed that while prices were falling, that the rich would come to save them. So this is kind of a 2.0 or a 3.0, because Coinbase has been doing a lot of weird stuff over the last couple of years, where basically they're trying to get the everyday American people behind them in this new ad campaign. That's why I said at the beginning of this, I was like, it's a little sad. Like it seems almost like hyper desperate in a way, like, hey, we're not doing too good. We know we shunned you guys for a very long time and said you weren't worth it in the market, but look at what we can do together if you just pay attention to this. I don't want to say the word propaganda, but it's definitely like it has like a slight twinge of we can do it. Yeah, we us joining together, Uncle Sam, we can fight the system. And it's like, yeah, we could have all fought the system years ago if you guys had just actually accepted us into your circle. But now that most of your circle isn't there, the SEC, who you were toe kissing for a large amount of time, also doesn't want you, because I'm telling you, behind the scenes, it's so abundantly clear that to me, my opinion, everything that's being done, in my opinion, is simply to make sure that the JP Morgans, the Fidelities, and the BlackRocks can take over the entirety of the space. They don't want to share market share with Coinbase, Kraken, Binance. Why do you think it's been so difficult? Why do you think every single cryptocurrency exchange got in trouble the exact same time? They all just happened to have done something all on January of this year. Didn't that seem a little bit odd? And now no one's talking about it. We have a literal banking crisis going on right now. Banks are collapsing. And the enemy is always the cryptocurrency exchange, not the bank that isn't holding your money. It's the blockchain that shows exactly how much money you have on it. It's not the banks that have been defaulting and have needed bailouts over the course of this year. It's the same thing over and over and over. I think that the originals, the bigwigs, the people who control everything in the world right now, I think they understand where this market is going. And they don't want to share anything. They don't want anyone else to have a piece of the pie. This is why the world runs the way that it works now. If they wanted people to have a piece of the pie, we would not have people worth $200 billion. You would be content with, I will tell you right now, I would be more than content just only having $1 billion. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic in and of itself. According to a recent blog post by Coinbase, the new national campaign will explain the critical role that crypto will play as an underlying technology that will update the global financial system. The crypto exchange highlighted the developments in the blockchain landscape of rival economies like China and how the lack of proper regulation in the United States will lead to unpleasant consequences. It's already happening. This is why I'm so confused. It is abundantly clear where all of this is going, where Bitcoin's going. We see the usage more and more every single day, the new wallets that are being opened, the people around the world who are being affected by economic destruction, who are opening up cryptocurrency accounts, who are buying Ethereum, who are staking all these coins. We're trying to find a way of some relatively stabilized form of passive income. Every other country sees it. And this is why, for those of you who missed it a couple of days ago, the news was, I think there was a judge order. No. Coinbase took the SEC to court and told them basically, in 10 days, give us cryptocurrency regulations, give us something. And the SEC came forward and said, oh, it's going to take a number of years before we can figure out what's going on. So, we've given you regulation. You're not paying attention to it. But proper regulation, they said would at least take several years. Well, that's crazy because Hong Kong did it in about 3 months, as did all of Europe, as did most of Asia. Like, for those of you who also don't know, China also has cryptocurrency regulations. A lot of people think that China has banned crypto. The banning of Bitcoin has to do with use as a payment method. You are still legally able to own crypto there. You cannot use it as a form of currency and you cannot trade it. There are actual over-the-counter offices, like buildings you can walk into, and you can get, digitally give them your Bitcoin and they will hand you cash and or money back into your bank account. So you can't day trade with it and you can't use it as a currency, but it's still legal. Even the place that hates it the most still has it. A lot of people think that Bitcoin mining is also illegal there. No. You can still, listen, pay attention to the news. You can still mine crypto in China, but you need an enormous amount of paperwork. They just want hyper regulatory, everything, because they don't want the strength of their local currency to diminish in any sort of way. So everywhere else has it, except for the United States, which if you had told me in 2014, 15, 16, they still would not have, you know how powerful countries are going to be around the world who have cryptocurrency regulations, who are adopting, using, buying, and mining Bitcoin? We know that they're out there. I make daily news. You know exactly who these countries are. What happens when Bitcoin gets to $500,000 per coin? How much richer could America have been, or the American public, if they had known that they could have legally gotten into the space and they knew exactly how much to pay for taxes and they knew exactly all the rules and regulations of getting into it for staking? I told you all this years ago. The people who adopt this the earliest will be the richest. And it's a real weird shame when the most powerful, richest country on the planet hasn't made sure that their citizens also have rules, have regulations, understand the power of this technology, and then also are able to jump into the market. How many of your friends and family members would have jumped into crypto in 2018, 19, or 20 if they had a proper framework or guidelines or knew that they could legally, there's just so many, it's so many layers to all of this. And I don't understand, and this is why Coinbase is now making an ad campaign. The new campaign will also inform the country's leadership about national security. That stems from technology and innovation moving out of the country. It's called brain drain. You might have heard of it before. It's basically the idea, in simplest terms, the people who have the ideas, who have the brains to continue making this technology, or the brains to run the economy and or find a way to make money for other people, they leave, and therefore it's a brain drain because those drains are... Anyway, the campaign will begin with a series of 4 television ads featuring CEO Brian Armstrong. These ads will air on popular Sunday shows. The crypto exchange will explain the importance of crypto to the viewers through 4 chapters set to air each weekend. Coinbase will also promote an educational program about the history of money. Additionally, the exchange's campaign will include a wallscape campaign on Wall Street and a series of messages aired during the NBA playoffs on the need to update the financial system. The exchange will also have an armored truck turned into a mobile billboard driven around New York to show how inefficiently money moves today. They said most of the world is embracing this technology now to update their financial system. And what I fear is that we're going to be sitting here in 5 or 10 years and we're going to come back to crypto and think about it like we did with 5G or semiconductors. Yeah, this was one of the most popular news stories we've had in a while. I mean, it was talked about everywhere. I'm not sure if that is generalized enthusiasm. If people believe in this ad campaign, if they think it's going to go somewhere, if they think that this will, generate the masses into getting into crypto, I have very low expectations, not to be, that guy, but it's more of I think a lot of people, with all the economic destruction we've seen in the last year and a half because of the Fed, and even more so the printing of money and the devaluation of the US dollar, I feel like we should have had more people coming into the market, but I think it's like being blissfully unaware about what's actually happening around the world. I have a couple of friends, and I know many of them do not watch the channel, who tell me often how sad they are about being broke and how they don't have any money. And I've known these people for years and years and years, and they don't save. They do not want to save. They do not invest. I talk to them about retirement and retiring early, and they look at me like I'm speaking to them in some language that we do not share in common, and they just simply don't care. Like it's something completely out of their frame of what they're trying to pay attention to in life. So yeah, Coinbase is making a gigantic ad campaign. Very popular news. A lot of people were talking about it. I wish them the best. I would love if this turned into not only another 20% of people in America being like, oh, we got to get into crypto, but also the SEC being like, oh, we've been terrible for the last 7.5 years to everyone inside of the United States, and it's time we give some kind of regulatory information. But alas, here we are. So That's the kind of desperate and sad news, but, you know, all right. Let's move on. Also in the news, Sotheby's, the luxury auction house, has successfully generated $2.5 million through the sale of NFTs from the now defunct crypto hedge fund 3 Arrows Capital, or 3AC. Among the pieces sold was something called Fidenza 725, and that made over $1 million by itself. This was also quite popular news. There's a lot of NFT energy flowing back into the space, not only from the Bitcoin NFTs, which are making a gigantic splash, but also from Litecoin, I believe also has ordinals, and everyone's talking about it. A lot of the NFT projects have kind of not reignited, but they've regained public attention, similar to Artifact RTFKT, I think that's what it is, from Nike, which continues to be extremely popular as they have like new airdrops all the time. I told you that before. I have a friend who has them. Those were the ones that were stolen from me. I had a bunch of Artifact Nike NFTs. They're all stolen. My friend still has his. Thank goodness he put his onto a ledger. And he says he has multiples of each, and they keep giving him airdrops, which is basically like free money and stuff all the time. So, you know, golf clap for my friend. This was very popular in that while skepticism began to run high as all markets around the world began to fall, and NFT prices had fallen as well. We're still seeing a large number of higher-end auction houses still selling NFTs, making really good money from them. There's also a number of museums around the world who are also beginning to purchase higher-end NFTs from larger artists and stuff like that. So not really too much on this news other than the fact that NFTs, I told you all this like 2 years ago. A lot of people believed that they would have disappeared by now. They're simply changing form and shape, but a large portion of the NFT market will continue to be in art, and this is why we're also seeing the advent in a lot of different companies no longer calling them NFTs. They're now calling them digital collectibles. And the news that we had a couple of weeks ago, there were a couple of video game companies who announced that they're getting into the digital collectible space, in that within the video games you will be able to own the items that you use within that game and be able to take it with you from one thing to another. So yeah, that's the Sotheby's luxury auction house sold $2.5 million worth of NFTs. And I think it was just 3 NFTs, unless I read that incorrectly. Yeah. Alrighty. Let's move on. Also in the news, wait 1 second. Yeah, there we go. Here we go. Cryptocurrency and Bitcoin ATM provider Bitcoin of America consented with the Connecticut Department of Banking to halt their operations owing to a lack of licensing. In a statement, the Department of Banking highlighted that Bitcoin of America failed to operate a proper license to operate Bitcoin ATM kiosks in the state. However, the consent order was enforced after 4 Connecticut consumers lost tens of thousands of dollars in a scam involving using the kiosks in question. The state said, and I quote, "As a result of the consent order, Bitcoin of America made restitution to these consumers totaling $86,000. Following a criminal incident, Bitcoin of America is winding down operations here in Canada." I have just a sliver of advice. If you are looking to make a large purchase of crypto, please don't walk up to an ATM with $20,000. I don't know who needs to hear that. I don't know whose friend walking around in the background needs to hear that. Do it in a way that you can make sure, and I mean a crypto exchange also completely works. I understand why people would be using a Bitcoin ATM, but there have been far too many incidents like this where, you know, that just completely blows my mind. So yeah, apparently this also made relatively popular news. Bitcoin of America has been operating for a very long time in a number of states. They're also trying to make other Bitcoin ATMs around the world. They're not as popular anymore. They were many years ago when it was very difficult. For those of you who weren't here back in the long ago, you basically only had Coinbase and Mt. Gox as your places where you could buy crypto. There were a couple of other crypto exchanges that began to pop up. They collapsed, they fell. They were not even rug pulls. They were like entire house pulls where the exchange was simply going offline and all the money was gone, hundreds of millions of dollars and things like that. So back then when there was less trust as for a legitimate place to be able to buy some crypto, a lot of people were using these ATMs as a way to say, well, you know what, I have an extra $20 on me. I'll put it into Bitcoin in this way as opposed to having to find a reputable crypto exchange. But now, we have other ways, and therefore people, you feel more comfortable doing something on your computer in the confines of your home as opposed to walking 5 or 6 blocks carrying $20,000 on you. This is also why Local Bitcoins got shut down, which was a website which basically allowed you to meet someone in a dark alley and give them money, and they gave you crypto. So, very secure, very safe. So, 1, be careful out there. 2, use your wits about you, use your mind, use your brain. And so not many people are using these, but apparently in Connecticut, they said that they didn't have proper licensing, so they're winding down their operations. But I assume their numbers also aren't doing too great because people tend to do things more online now anyway. Yeah. Let's move on. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters: Jim, Jimmy, Jim, American Crypto Academy, Martin Stoyer, Bodie McButtface, Sam Ratter, Dotha Diddy, Manny Cryptos, Crypto Gambino, Auspicious Agile and Blockchain, Jamie Saad, and let's move on, Empire Queen, Roman Gaba, Bitcoin, Ben Arachno, Dave the Dealers, and Count the Summing in the Z-Way, Lay, Mobirazzi, VBinner 21, Lord, the Silver, Quarter Bitty, Troy, All Good, Space Case, Need a Miracle, Paternoster, Navarro, Williams, Utopia 569, Moonman, High, Extra Pino, Storoma, John Sarsi, Niana, Maria, Bibliophobia, Adam Grace, Wise Not Owl, 24 Truths of the World, Bankroll Network, Crypto Artist, Cold 3D, Setsuna, Paxis, Jim Garner, Jimmy Fox, Minty Coin, Jester Crypto, Anytime for this, Mouse, Stab, Bake Me a Cake, Tigger, Matronisa, and on Crypto with Lionel. Thank you all very, very much for your support. Thank you to everyone who left a like, a comment, or has subscribed. I do appreciate all of the support. Videos should be getting back to normal relatively soon. For those of you who missed it in the other video, I'm moving. I have a lot of stuff to do, a lot of boxes to pack, a lot of things to do. Yeah, there's a lot, you've moved before. There's a lot to take care of, but I'm still making sure that there are videos and stuff every single day for everyone out there. The format is a bit different, but it's still kind of, the same. So I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, great morning, great afternoon, great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.